On September 8th, 2010, a hardworking father and pillar of the community is about to leave work at the end of a long business day when a gunman opens fire. Here's the story of Hector Urias.
He was just an amazing brother, admiring him as a brother. I know that he was an amazing son, friend, just pretty much everything he did, he was the best.
Growing up, he was always very lovable with me. He watched movies with me. He was always joking and playing with me. And I have very beautiful memories with him. And he was a great big brother to me.
He taught me how to play every sport, taught me right from wrong. Any problems with school or girls or friends or just anything. He was a guy that was always there for you. You know, I felt like I was pretty special. Like, you know, he did that for me, but the more I learned about his relationships with everybody else, he just did that for everybody.
Just had something about him that attracted everybody to him. Just his warmth, you know, just his openness.
If I had a problem, he was the first one there. He would always call me and, what's going on? What do you need? Don't worry about it, everything's gonna be okay. He just made everything better.
You know, if you put 1 million people in the room, he's the one that stands out. He's the one that everybody wants to get to know. He's the one that everybody calls their best friend.
I mean, everybody pretty much in the community knew who he was. A lot of police officer friends. The ex-chief of police was a really good friend of his. The new chief of police, you know, if they had functions for the mayors, you know, new people coming into office, they would have it at his shop.
His business was an auto repair shop. He also did modifications on race cars and Volkswagens and different type of modifications like that. He was a professional race car driver, flirted around with that, you know, later on didn't really get a chance to maximize his ability in that. He was an amazing football player. I mean, he was a professional golfer, did the amateur tour for a while, won a few tournaments, kind of flirted around with it, but entered it very late in life.
He was involved in pretty much everything.
Mr. Urias was an extremely popular person in the community. He gave to various charities. He sponsored a Little League baseball team and was well known throughout the community.
It was a special, special childhood, just having somebody like that in your life.
Fue un maravilloso hijo, un maravilloso hermano, y pues ¿qué puedo decir más que todo eso que era para mí? Era una estrella.
On September 7th, 2010, Mr. Urias had just closed his business at 3548 Santa Anita Avenue in the city of El Monte. The city of El Monte is a middle-class neighborhood. In this particular area, it's industrial. It's Santa Anita Avenue is a busy thoroughfare with several businesses on each side. Mr. Urias owned Hector Urias Auto Repair Shop. Inside the shop, we found Mr. Urias in his office. He had been shot multiple times. Prior to his death, upon closing his shop at approximately 6 p.m., he telephoned his wife and told her he was going to stay in the shop until his basketball game at 9:30 p.m., which was around the corner. He never arrived. We believe the murder occurred between 7:30 and 9:30 p.m. Inside the shop, it had open bay area where the cars were serviced. To the right of the service area was an office and a lounge area. At the time of the shooting, we believe Mr. Urias was sitting on the couch watching television. The shooter approached from the street, walked through the parking lot, and apparently saw Mr. Urias through a plate glass window. We believe the suspect shot one time at Mr. Urias, outside through the window. Mr. Urias, seeing the suspect, immediately got up and tried to exit out the side office door. However, we believe the shooter was able to get through the bay area and enter the office before Mr. Urias could reach the door, confronted him, and shot him. We have one witness who saw an individual described as a light-skinned Hispanic male walking through the parking lot away from the business at approximately that time.
Well, we've had some tragedies in the family. Grandfather had passed, an aunt, an uncle. We've been receiving these calls, these late night calls. But every time it would be late, you would know it would be something bad. First thing I hear is my sister telling me, Raymond, Hector's been murdered.
His wife, the next morning, realizing he never came home, telephoned her sister-in-law and mother-in-law who lived in the area. Mr. Urias' mother and sister went to the shop the following morning at 5:00 a.m. and found their loved one shot to death inside of his office.
And I'll never forget the screams I heard.
I just dropped to my knees. The worst day of my life.
Well, friends say it's like a nightmare that they can't wake up from. A local racer, beloved by so many, is murdered at his auto body shop. Tonight, the search is on for Hector's killer.
Relatives and people who knew Hector Urias came from all over to see firsthand if it was true. Hector Urias' childhood friend, Ray Ramos, says the entire community is stunned.
You can't explain it. The guy was just well loved by everybody.
This has got to hurt you then.
Oh yeah, it's devastating. I think it's his dream. I'm waiting to wake up.
Urias owned this body shop where he was murdered. He also pursued his dream of racing Volkswagen Beetles. This YouTube video shows a winning race.
My company, IAP, sponsored his race car, and we've been good friends. Everybody, all his friends here just love the guy.
I still can't believe it. I just want to walk over there and...
His cousin Eddie Urias also worked on the race team. He says all of El Monte knew Hector back from El Monte high school football days. He played quarterback. These pictures come from his high school yearbook. Los Angeles County Sheriff's detectives collected a large amount of evidence from the small office. Lieutenant Don Slauson says there appears to have been a struggle. He says the last mechanic left at 7 p.m. last night. Then at 9 p.m., Urias had a basketball game.
According to family members, Mr. Urias would often stay there for several hours when he had activities after work, such as softball or baseball. The individual apparently went through the Bay Area, entered into the office, confronted Mr. Urias, and that's where we found his body.
Now, Hector and his wife just adopted a 5-month-old baby. They were very excited about being first-time parents. On Thursday, the Irwindale racetrack is going to give a memorial to Hector. They're going to tow his Beetle, his award-winning Beetle, down the drag strip.
I just want to thank all of you so much for your love and support. In the midst of this excruciating, indescribable, heart-piercing pain,
they had a memorial at the Pomona Raceway where it was attended by approximately 3,000 people in a celebration of his life.
He was like a celebrity. It was amazing.
He was loved by many people. People just go out of the way to tell me, your brother was amazing.
The only thing that keeps us going is how he was. He would want us to keep going and make the most of it. But my God, it's hard.
There's a big piece of our puzzle missing, and that will never be the same.
You know, going to visit his newly adopted daughter, knowing that he's not going to be able to watch her grow up, going to visit my parents and seeing the pain in their eyes. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Se los pido con el amor de madre, con este dolor que tengo de madre, se los pido que tengan compasión y que digan algo que sepan que pueda llegar a resolverse este crimen tan terrible.
At this point, we have no idea why Mr. Urias was killed. Robbery does not appear to be a motive. As we've conducted our background investigation on Mr. Urias, he appeared once again to be an extremely popular person in the community, did not have any apparent enemies. There was no obvious negative business dealings, and so this is a true mystery. The individual that was seen walking away from the business around the time of the shooting is described as a Latino male, approximately 30 to 35 years of age, 5'5", 120 pounds. He had a light complexion, a thin mustache, and he was wearing a baseball cap. We're seeking the public's help in identifying this individual, and we would like to speak to him to see if he has any additional information on this case.